Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios. Akoko Mlimile here in Accra with digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country including Pad FM in Damango, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Sunshine FM in Boku. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G Just a Touch, UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank. Let's go. And coming up, Supreme Court gives Attorney General green light to sell properties belonging to businessman Alfred Boyome worth 20 million cedis.
So it brings to an end all his tactics or the attempt to evade the judgment debt, and all we have to do now is to proceed to auction the properties.
We have details as the Deputy Attorney General hints the state will press criminal charges against Mr. Woyome. Auditor General describes as untenable 190,000 cedis special sitting allowances paid MPs by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. We have details in here from an MP on the matter.
And don't seek to bastardize the whole of the parliamentary institution in this manner.
But is the Women's Caucus supposed to be receiving donations from the executive?
Maybe for an activity they must have done.
Narcotics Control Board reveals a worrying trend of shito laced with cannabis in most senior high schools in Ghana.
They send shito, so they've decided to add the cannabis to the shito so that it will give them the same effect. They call it wee shito, and if you don't take care, normally people have two. He has proper shito, he has the wee one.
We'll also hear from Ghana Standards Authority, which has been receiving requests from doctors and students hooked onto the illicit drug.
We need to be worried because there are many children out there who are using drugs and other substances but are not known by their parents.
And later, Bishop Herman College crashes out of National Science and Maths Quiz.
Bishop Herman College has 29 points. St. John's Grammar School has 35 points.
After 4 days of intense competition, 10 schools booked their place at the quarterfinals. Stay with us as we bring you the latest. And also in sports.
Yes, there's news from the Blasters campus. They prepare for the must-win game against Cameroon. Winger Thomas Ejapon has been ruled out.
Ridwan Ibrahim Asante will be here with the sports. I'm Israel Laim. Stay tuned in. In our first story, the Supreme Court is giving the Attorney General the green light to sell properties belonging to businessman Alfred Woyome worth 20 million cedis. The Attorney General's office had earmarked 3 residential properties for sale to defray a 47.2 million cedi judgment that owed the state by Mr. Woyome. But receivers of the defunct bank claimed they owned the properties due to the businessman's failure to repay a loan. My colleague Joseph Akable has just returned from court and joins me in the studio with more. Hello, Joseph. Tell us about the properties in question that the court has given the AG the go-ahead to sell.
So there are 2 residential facilities at Trasaco Valley Estates. There is also another residential facility at Accra Newtown, and there is also a quarry that we are told is located at Mamfi. So those are the 4 properties, and also has to do with there are some movable assets that have all been listed among those properties that the state can go ahead and sell now.
Now we understand the court also ruled that receivers of the defunct UT Bank were colluding with Mr. Woyome. In what way did they say the 2 colluded?
In fact, Justice Benny, who delivered the decision, said that documents provided by the AG showed that 9 months after the bank claimed to have bought the property from Mr. Woyome did obtain a loan from the bank using the same facility as collateral. And so he describes the alleged sale as a complete sham, saying that the bank was simply colluding with the businessman to ensure that the state does not satisfy that debt.
Was Mr. Woyome in court, and how has he or his lawyers been reacting to this?
He was not present in court. His son Daniel Woyome was present in court, but his lawyers said in open court that they were much obliged with the court's decision.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable. Now, Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, who spoke with journalists after the ruling, hinted criminal charges will be pressed against the businessman for colluding with the bank.
It brings to an end all his tactics or the attempt to evade the judgment debt, and all we have to do now is to proceed to auction the properties. And of course, the law requires us to set the reserve price. The reserve price is the minimum price at which the property can be sold. So the decisions of the court were quite clear that the claim by UT Bank and Anato Holdings Limited were all a sham, In respect to the claim by UTBank, the court indicated that was actually in collusion, as the Attorney General alleged, was an effort to collude with the judgment debtor to avoid a satisfaction of the judgment debt. And that to me is very significant. To me, it holds a lot of significance for accountability and the rule of law, that indeed you cannot pillage or deprive the state of funds and then resort to all manner of tactics just to avoid a satisfaction of the judgment debt given against you. And so to me, it goes a long way for establishing and consolidating the rule of law, and also it's a shot to the arm for the fight against impunity and a lack of accountability. So it has a lot of significance for accountability as far as I'm concerned. And we're very much satisfied by the ruling.
Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Edwardame there, and he joins us on the line for more on this ruling. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Edame. Many thanks for your time. How soon do you intend to begin the sale of these properties?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your cherished listeners. I think that once the green light has been given, we'll proceed forthwith to auction the properties. And as I indicated earlier on, the law requires us to determine the reserve price. So straight away, tomorrow or Monday, we'll file the application for determination of the reserve prices. Already evaluation has been conducted. Valuation was conducted last year, and each of the properties was valued at a minimum of $1.5 million. And also worth it to note that indeed further properties were discovered from the documents filed by UTBank in court. Some of the properties that were recently discovered include... Sorry, hello?
Yes, we're still listening.
Yes. Some of the properties that were discovered include one house at East Legon, where he uses it as an office, and at the holdings office and all. So all those we proceeded against. And I think that's substantially going to recover an amount close to about 30 million Ghana cedis. Yes. So.
All right. All right. Now, in terms of figures, how significant is this towards the 50 million amount that we're hoping to retrieve?
Yes, the principal sum outstanding now is about 47 million Ghana cedis. Because as part of the effort to throw dust into the eyes of the court about 4 or 5 years ago, he paid an amount of 4 million Ghana cedis. And then after that, he defaulted. Since then, he resorted to all these tricks and employees to avoid judgment debt. So in terms of the principal sum outstanding, we will get 30 million Ghana cedis out of this 47 million cedis. What we are handled with 70 million Ghana cedis. Of course, the rules of law also empower us to calculate interest. So we'll be calculating post-judgment interest on it. And we'll go to every extent possible to realize the last cedi outstanding the judgment debt. We're still investigating to discover more assets. As I told you, beyond these 4 properties that were specified by some of the court decision today, there were also properties that were disclosed from the documents filed by UTBank in court. And we pointed them out in court. So we proceed against those as well.
We do know Mr. William has filed a similar case at the African Court of Human Rights. We understand the court in Tanzania will be delivering its decision tomorrow. What's your expectation?
Yes, sure. Yes, we are notified of that decision, which will be coming up tomorrow. We're serving notice of it on Tuesday. And I was actually worried as to why the court will give such a short notice, considering the fact that all the lawyers in the matter are residents abroad. But it doesn't matter. I mean, for me, that case does not border on human rights. There has not been the violation of any human rights of Mr. Woyome. And as far as the laws of Ghana are concerned, the Supreme Court of Ghana is the highest court. The decisions of the Supreme Court are not appealable in any forum, and therefore that ruling tomorrow will absolutely have no bearing whatsoever on proceedings today. We'll still go ahead and proceed and auction the properties next week. So we're not worried at all. But of course, we have every confidence that the outcome will be favorable to the state tomorrow. What
if it doesn't? It isn't favorable for government?
Yes, I think so, because we wanted a very strong defense, and we also the view that even the recourse to the African court was improper. The court's last decision to hear Mr. Woyome's action, and even if the court has decision, we're saying that no human rights of Mr. Woyome was violated. There was recourse to due process in all the proceedings against Mr. Woyome. You have noticed how we had to delay for about 2 years. We delayed for about 2 years because of the very stringent adherence to rule of law in this country. So Woyome has had the opportunity of appealing against almost every ruling given by the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Again, what if the ruling doesn't go in favor of government?
Well, as I said, if the ruling doesn't go in favor of government, it has absolutely no bearing on the decision by the Supreme Court today.
All right, thank you very much. So it's the Deputy Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah Dame, speaking to us there. Now, moving on, the Auditor General's Office has described as untenable 190,000 cedis special sitting allowances paid to MPs by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. A special audit undertaken by the office into selected state institutions reveals part of the amount is also captured as honorariums and was given to members of Parliament's Finance, Trade, Industry and Tourism Committees. There is more in the following report.
The audit report quotes the Public Financial Management Act that requires principal spending officers of an entity to ensure the proper use of money. It notes that contrary to this legislation, between August and December 2017, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority made payments to the tune of 192,400 cedis, described as courtesies and protocols, special and sitting allowances to all the members and supporting staff of Parliamentary Select Committees on Trade, Industry and Tourism, Finance and the Women's Caucus in Parliament. It further states that the committee members did not sign the claim sheets to acknowledge receipts of the monies purportedly paid to them. The Auditor General therefore handed the authority a lifeline to justify the payment or have the former Director of Finance refund the amount. The authority agreed with the recommendation, stating that they will provide the appropriate justifications with documentation to substantiate the payments. A former Deputy CEO, Akilu Saibu, and a former staff member have also been directed to refund an amount of 23,562.50 cedis, which the Auditor General captures as an earned clothing allowance.
There was a news desk report. Mr. Saibu has released a statement reacting to the claims. My colleague Fifi Kumsing joins me in the studio with details. Now, Fifi, what does he have to say about the findings?
Well, he says he never received any such amount and that this came to his attention when the Auditor General wrote to him. He adds that he has since responded by making his salary account details available to the Auditor General and is surprised this was not captured in the report.
All right, thank you very much, Fifi. Now, MP for South Dayi, Rocksing Dafemako, has been reacting to the report. Listening to him as he spoke with my colleague Kojo Yangsing on the AM show.
If the Trade Ministry says that, well, I am inviting all members of the committee to say an outpost. So let's say Eastern Premier Hotel in Koforidua for a weekend, so that you can concentrate on working on this bill for me. I don't pay my hotel bills. I don't pay for the meals you give me. But if you don't craft your narrative like this and you say it's amount of honorarium,
okay, I mean, I think
I have a difficulty.
I'm sorry.
Let me wind up.
Right.
I don't know what the Women Caucus did for the ministry to assist them. If it is a donation, say so expressly, right. and don't seek to bastardize the whole of the parliamentary institution in this manner.
But is the Women's Caucus supposed to be receiving donations from the executive?
Maybe for an activity they must have done. And that's why they said the Women Caucus. They write
confused. The Women's Caucus is made up of MPs who are all paid to do a job.
No.
They're all paid to do a job.
But
why should the executive be making donations to them?
You are wrong. When they are undertaking some community outreach to talk to young girls, to go out, they look for support.
Right.
In terms of fuel and all that, they look for support. That one I must be honest with you. So if a ministry decides to support them, all right, that's it. I think it should be properly couched. That is why, for instance, you can't say.
But I think you are guessing now that is what it was.
Yes, because the
that's
narrative,
not what the audit says.
But the narrative is
so you are
nebulous.
seeking to sort of clean it up.
Yeah, no, I'm not cleaning it up
because you have no way of knowing that's what it is.
Perhaps it didn't happen. Somebody sitting internally is doing this in the name of the parliamentary system.
Which is a fair point because there were no signatures.
Exactly. So these are matters we can interrogate.
Right. I'm told that our time is completely up, but this is something that...
That was MP for South Dayi, Rocksing Dafemako speaking there, which Kojo Yangsing on the AM show. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee is advocating more of the oil revenue be channeled to job creation after it was revealed 98% of monies budgeted for education goes towards the implementation of the free senior high school policy. Chairman of PIAC, Dr. Steve Mantia, believes more attention to job creation will empower people to cater for their children's education than for the state to directly bear the cost. He spoke at the launch of the 2018 PIAC annual report in Kumasi. Prince Apia has more.
The annual budget funding account ABFA for 2018 received allocation of over 827 million from the Ministry of Finance for the 4 priority areas. The education priority area had 419,871,012 Ghana cedis, 44 pesos, representing 51% of the total ABFA. A total of 98.75%, which is over 440 million Ghana cedis of the disbursement, was spent on the free SHS policy. Chairman of PIAC, Dr. Steve Mantiao, says this must be reviewed.
I made my point that PIAC as a committee is in full support. We even see the free education as a better use of the revenues than those GOAT projects. Okay? But we need to think through whether it's a strategy that will give us the best return. Let's use the oil revenue to create jobs so people can get jobs and use the money, the income, to pay their children's school fees. That is more sustainable. That's all.
Well, Dr. Mantiao says PIAC is exploring collaboration with the Office of the Special Prosecutor and other investigative bodies for prosecution of officials who misuse petroleum revenues. You're listening to Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're taking a break. We'll be back with more.
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality. But I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Welcome back to the Midday News. And now time for sports, and Redwan Ibrahim Asante is here. Hello, Redwan.
Good time meeting you. It's been long, Israel, but hey, we're here again. Let's roll back the years and tell you about what has been happening at the Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. There's news on the Black Stars, and it appears that coach Kwesi Appiah will not have a clean bill of health with his squad going into Saturday's must not lose second Group F match against the defending champions Cameroon at the Nations Cup. Now, Captain Andre Ayew and Thomas Ejapon sustained injuries in the 2-2 draw with Benin on Tuesday. Now, a statement signed by the team's spokesperson, I'm talking about Dan Kwekuebua, says Ejapon will set out the second match against the Indomitable Lions. But for Andre, he's been monitored. Looking ahead to Saturday's game, head coach Kwesi Appiah says they'll give their all to get back to winning ways.
For me, the team, there will not be much difference. But, we take a game as it comes. Once we finish with this one, we just put it behind you and concentrate on the next game. So as to who will play, that one, I will have to decide. But I'm 100% sure we're going to give Cameroon a very good game.
There's AFCON, 3 matches lined up today, but the big 2 will be here on Joy 99.7 FM at 5 p.m. We've got live commentary on Senegal playing against Algeria, and then later there's the East African derby between Kenya and Tanzania.
Thank you very much, Redwan Ibrahim Asante. The family of a 26-year-old man lynched and his body set ablaze by a mob at Achimachiase near Kumasi is demanding justice. Wahab Saabani, a driver's mate, is said to have been called out as a thief by the chief of the town, who is said to have fired 3 warning shots. This attracted a mob who dragged him on the floor, lynched and set his body ablaze. Family spokesperson Mohammed Mumuni Zachary, says the family requires nothing short of the arrest of killers of Sabani to face the full rigors of the law. My colleague Ohiming Teria has been following up on the story and joins us on the telephone. Hello, Ohiming. Is the family denying the claim by the chief that Wahab is a thief, and what justification are they offering?
Yes, Israel, they are denying this. They say that the late Wahab Sabani has never been a thief nor an armed robber, just that they suspect at the time of the incident he may be under a high fever. So on that fateful day, he left his Aswansi base to Echem Achianse, where he and his driver has been plying. So they are even surprised that the community will lynch somebody that they know is a driver's mate, and they want the police to arrest all the perpetrators involved before they bury the late Wahab Sabani.
And has the family actually approached the police or lodged a formal complaint?
The family has already lodged a complaint even before they went to Chem Achianse to pick up the body. Police had already picked the body to the Jabin Hospital morgue, where it has been kept for autopsy. And police has already invited and arrested the chief of Chem Achianse, Nana Kusi Babu II, and one Akwesi Edu. Two of them have already been arraigned at the Ejuso Magistrate Court on provisional charges of murder, where they were remanded into police custody to reappear on July 10, 2019, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Ohiming Teria. You may want to double-check the ingredients used in the preparation of your hot pepper sauce, popularly known as shito, because the Narcotics Control Board has revealed a worrying trend of shito laced with cannabis in the country, especially among young people. NACOP has found that most students are consuming cannabis through their hot pepper sauce in school. We will hear from NACOP shortly, but first, listen to some students on what they make of this trend.
In my school, we used to do it. We had boys who plays weed inside their shito. It is very, very common in most of the boys' school and even probably some of the mixed schools. You see, people do this because they sometimes find it difficult to smoke it with a lighter. They now see that the easiest way they can do that is what? Having the weed inside the shito, so that when they eat it, it can also get them high.
We were just eating some gari and shito, and he brought out some shito from his chop box. We just put it on the gari and we started eating. So afterwards, I went to class and I was really feeling dizzy. So I had to go to the dispensary. I went to the dispensary and I reported I was feeling dizzy. And I was given some medication, so I had to sleep there throughout the day. So I didn't even notice that there was something in the shito until he told me that there was some form of weed in the shito.
Let's now hear from the Deputy Director of NACOP, Michael Ado, who is urging parents to take interest in what their wards consume while in school.
You know, some of the children start using cannabis right from the junior secondary school, JHS. That is where they start. So when they go to the senior secondary school, they will want to continue. Actually, they get addicted to the use of the drug in the junior secondary school. So when they go to the secondary school, they may not be able to get it to smoke, but they send shito. So they've decided to add the cannabis to the shito. There has been instances where some people have given their shito to some friends, and just after they've eaten the shito, something happens to them. Something like high fever or something. And when you take them to the hospital, it is detected that they have banned substances in them, cannabis sativa. So that is how come. They call it wee shito. And if you don't take care, normally people have two. He has proper shito, he has the wee one. If you go asking them, begging them for shito, they will give you the wee one. When you take it and you are not lucky, then it knocks you off.
The Ghana Census Authority has a department which often receives requests from parents and hospitals. Director of Corporate Communications, Dr. Kofi Amponsa Bediako, is urging parents in doubt of the behavior of their children to put in their request.
Some requests actually come from medical doctors or from parents. Usually, if the request comes from a parent, that parent concerned might have been in doubt with regard to the behavior of the child, and therefore to be certain about whether the child abuses substances or not. So once the request comes, we conduct a test on the child or the person, and then send the result sealed back to the doctor. These requests come in not too often, probably because parents are not aware that they can make use of services. I think we need to be worried because there are many children out there who are abusing drugs and other substances, but are not known by their parents.
In a related development, the Ghana Rastafari Council is appealing for the decriminalization of cannabis, which, according to them, has economic benefits. Kex Pongo is Advocacy Committee Chairman for the Council.
What I want to tell them is that we are also well-meaning Ghanaians, and Mr. Akresi Sapon is a well-meaning Ghanaian. Mr. Late Kofi Annan is a well-meaning Ghanaian, and all these people have talked about the decriminalization of cannabis in Ghana, because it will give us a lot of foreign currency. We shall be making like $10 billion every year.
Yes, Pongo is Advocacy Committee Chairman of the Ghana Rastafari Council. Now, after 4 days of intense competition, 10 schools have booked their place at the quarterfinal of the National Science and Maths Quiz ongoing at the University of Ghana. The latest to qualify is St. John's Grammar School.
At the end of the contest, here are the final scores. Ghana National College has 21 points. Bishop Herman College has 29 points. St. John's Grammar School has 35 points.
Well, joining us is Nancy Mefajra-Dozie, has been speaking with Dr. Mary Aram Ashinyo, who has been recounting her moments on stage some 18 years ago. She is former contestant for Ebri Girls High School and now a medical doctor and has been mentoring the students.
I really do remember. I remember that it was not very easy even climbing to stage. And back in school, I was a very quiet person. And it's a lot of tension. And knowing that it was also the first time I was going to be on TV, it was not that simple. So as we watch them sitting down there so relaxed, a lot is going on inside them. And it's actually it's a lot of tension. I remember it was so much tension. And I remember that even when the contest started, most of my answers, I had to write it down for my other colleague who was more bold and vocal. I think she saved me on that day. It was from the middle of the context that I was actually able to speak up a lot. So it's not an easy thing climbing those platforms. Yeah, we must congratulate them. Yeah.
Which school took you out, by the way?
It was Pope John's, yes. And we were leading them until the last but one round. So that was very painful. And I think that at the end of the day, they won the overall also, if I remember. So that meant that our team was very strong. So we cried a little bit and we went home. It's part of life.
Dr. Mary Aram Ashinyo is a former National Science and Maths Quiz contestant for Ebri Girls High School. And Nancy Mefajra-Dozie joins us on from the University of Ghana, where the competition is taking place. Hello, Nancy. What can you tell us of the very latest?
So, Israel, I can say that very, very shortly we'll be having contest between Islamic Senior High School Kumasi, Senior High School, and also Awudome Senior High School. Awudome Senior High School were very good in the prelims, even though they were qualified through the 18 highest level school. But later, around 4 p.m., we'd have the Blair Boys, Accra Academy, in Bronco State College, and also TI Mass Seminar. And so these are the contests we'll be looking up to very, very shortly from 1 a.m. and then to 4 p.m.
All right, thank you very much, Nancy Mefajra-Dozie, with that Bleo report. Singer Becca has reminded the state of its responsibility in finding the 3 kidnapped Takoradi girls. According to her, all logistics and resources should be applied by the state security as they work to find the girls. Becca, who spoke with Becky of our showbiz desk, had said security should be tightened and also appealed to government to enforce immigration laws.
I think that our security is not tight at all. I believe that the people that are in charge
of this thing should not take it for granted. This is going to be another story where it starts and it ends and nothing happens. And we're all here, we're going to see that. But you know what? These tardy girls need to be found. If the Canadian girls are being found, the same way, the same strategy, Ghanaians should just put all our forces together, put all our strengths together, put all our heads together, put every resource that they can possibly get together to make sure these girls go home. But I believe that security measures need to be put in place for foreigners, for people that come in without us knowing them. I personally believe that they can be found and they should be found. If they need help from any of us, we're all there, we're all willing to make this happen.
You heard singer Becca, and joining me in the studio is one lady who has been found, Mapitso Sebede.
All right, Izzy, on Facebook, people are talking about the Narcotics Control Board, which destroyed over $3 million worth of marijuana and other drugs were seized. At Richard Primper says, so with such mentality, Africa will forever remain the poorest continent, sleeping on gold and other mineral resources. Bayer Jeremiah thinks it's a good move, and I support it 100%. What the courts and NACOB have done, I believe, has saved a lot of people from mental disorder. And this one is from Andy Mollers, who says, oh God, we are burning all our dollars, $3 million US, and you are happy?
All right, but nobody has actually told me what happens to the fumes that comes from the burning of the weed.
I'll go to the site and I'll tell you.
Thank you very much, Emma Pitso Sebede, with What's Trending. And that's it for the bulletin. I'm Israel Lai. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good afternoon.